Hey guys, Greg Heffly, am I right? Look at this wimp. Look at him. Look how lame he is. And to top it all off, he's also a terrible, shitty person. You want to know why? I'll be reading this Wikipedia article about Greg Heffly. Greg Heffly is mischievous, lazy, paranoid, arrogant, and dishonest. He is known to become jealous easily. He also tends to be a poor friend, something even he agrees with. He doesn't like taking the blame for negative events, and attempts to twist any situation he can in his favor, so that he may go up his popularity ladder. Despite all these negative traits, he has displayed a kinder side. Throughout the series, Greg's schemes to acquire money and popularity always backfire. He also enjoys playing video games, particularly the fictional Twisted Wizard. His best friend is Rowley Jefferson. They often get into arguments. Rowley takes part in Greg's schemes and is sometimes a victim of Greg's manipulation and deception. The two have a very complicated relationship, as Greg sometimes takes advantage of Rowley's good nature, and his own schemes fail due to Rowley's foolishness, such as Rowley's confession to the vandalized wall. Rowley's parents, mostly his father, view Greg as a bad influence on their son. This is because Greg has a tendency for getting himself and Rowley into trouble. In Wrecking Ball, it is revealed that Greg truly did have a soft spot for Rowley, as Greg cries when he says goodbye to him. At school, Greg receives bad grades, gets bullied, deals with the hardships of middle school, and is always trying to earn popularity points in order to gain attention in school and respect, though plans to do so often result in either his own popularity dropping or unintentionally boosting Rowley's popularity. At home, Greg has a mixed relationship with his family, especially with his younger brother Manny, who is overly pampered and protected by his parents, particularly his mother Susan. His mother tries to devise ways for Greg and his older brother Roderick to get along, which never work out. Greg's father, Frank, is annoyed by Greg's antics and laziness and tries to make him more active. Greg has a love-hate relationship with his older brother Roderick. Greg is often tormented and bullied by Roderick and is also the victim of his pranks, yet they do care for each other deep down. In addition, he has inherited many of Roderick's traits, such as laziness, large ego, disdain for sports, being a trickster, etc. In fact, many of Greg's tutors dislike him because they originally had Roderick as a student, even though Greg's classroom behavior does not mirror Roderick's. A notable trait of Greg is that it becomes more apparent as novels go his lack of logical and critical thinking. A lot of his actions are shown to have no thought or consideration or prior to being acted out, and usually end in disastrous repercussions. This is shown he delays his family by drying his sock after stepping in a slush puddle when heading to an airport, and later burning the sock when attempting to dry it. Greg has also been shown to display constant forgetfulness as well as no linear thinking. A good example is this when he constantly has to remind himself to put his socks before his shoes, and after a string of incidents involving him to do the opposite act. Greg is a fan of video games and comic books, and he sees them as talents, which annoys his father Frank. His greatest gift is for cartooning and dry humor, evidenced by the many comic strips he has drawn. Another trait of Greg is his paranoia, which sometimes seems to get the better of him. A notable example of this is in Cabin Fever, in which he is worried that his old doll, Alfredo, will come back to haunt him, and the Santa Scout doll that he fears is actually following him around before finally realizing it is Roderick who's doing it. Another example is in Wrecking Ball, when Greg fears an imaginary monster called the Grout, and locks himself in his room until his father screws the door out. Greg rarely learns from his ill-fated mistakes, and continues to scheme and plot for his various goals. Because of this and his impulsive nature, he usually puts himself and others in trouble, and will often try to find another person to take the blame. Neighboring Greg is his awkward, unpopular, and eccentric schoolmate named Fregley, whose vast variety of oddities disgust and befuddle those around him, including Greg, who tries to distance himself from Fregley as much as possible. Though Greg detests the fact that he is next-door neighbors with Fregley, the only time he has ever shown interest in acquiring friendship with Fregley is in the 8th book, Hard Luck, where he becomes friends with Fregley, though this was really to Greg's advantage to become popular. Greg is also noted for having many attractions to girls throughout the series, most notably a girl named Holly Hills, his classmate. His schemes usually fail in the hope of attracting girls, though. One very notable example is the third wheel, where Greg attempts to use Rowley as a wingman to get himself a date for the upcoming Valentine's Day dance. He succeeds in obtaining the chance to take a girl named Abigail for the dance, but Rowley, who tags along as a third wheel, hence the name, Third Wheel, it proves to be a better date than Greg at the dance. This ultimately leads to Rowley and Abigail becoming a couple, setting the stage for Hard Luck. Greg has also been known to be very clumsy as he forgets his homework, and when he was 8, are you serious? I'm not joking you. When he was 8, wet the bed. Despite his many flaws and situations they have landed him in, Greg can be caring, intelligent, compassionate, and thoughtful, and has done a number of good deeds to prove this, such as deceiving his classmates they threw the cheese away to save Rowley's reputation, helping Roger compete against his science project, etc. Greg also showed unusual maturity when he chose to conceal his late Meemaw's diamond ring that he found in an Easter egg, not wanting to see his family fight over it because it had not been willed to anyone. So as you can see, the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, or Greg in particular, he is a wimpy kid, and I hate this character. He is very flawed, and he is not a nice person.